Hey, this is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Good evening. Happy January 13th, 2025. Hey, today's topic is financial frontline, the essential tasks, habits, and efforts for everyday heroes. Are you a hero? So, I'm going to be telling you some stories along the way just to keep this a little interesting. But I like to say it like this: if it wasn't for some of my mentors in the military, police departments I've been in, um, whether it be the Army or the Marine Corps first, and the Army now, uh, I would not be where I'm at today. So let's get started. So you see, we talk about financial tasks, essential actions for stability. So as a young sprite, I say young sprite, when I was early in my career, and I want you to think about when you first started, whether it was military, law enforcement, fire department, or whatever the service was, you had to learn some things, and I had to learn how to budget my money. So I remember when I came back from Iraq and I was on recruiter's duty, I had a gunny, and we were gonna go out and eat somewhere, and we had just got paid. And I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna stay behind because I really don't have any money. He was like, what? What do you mean you don't have any money? You just got paid. And I said, well, I cashed my check and paid some bills, and that was it. And at that time, I was a corporal, E4 in the Marine Corps. And he was like, let me see your bank account. Let me see your checkbook. I was like, I don't have one. He took me. This is what mentors do. He took me, he didn't scold me, he took me to a local bank and made me open up an account. And I was in the military when your social security numbers were still on your checks. So for those of you who remember that time, hoorah, or simplify. So, or as we used to say back in the day, yut yut. So I'm saying that to you guys that you need to understand that crafting a monthly budget ensures your clarity on your income, your expenses, and savings goals. See, these tasks help you as heroes manage those unpredictable expenses, like emergency car repairs or medical bills. Here in this example, I'm using firefighters. Now, a firefighter uses their budget to allocate a portion of their overtime earnings to an emergency fund, avoiding the need to rely on high interest credit cards during a crisis. So we can take examples from, like I was telling you in my story, of someone sitting me down and educating me, because my parents hadn't even done that when I left to go to the military. But someone who was a supervisor, a mentor, a leader, sat down and talked to me about having an emergency fund. Now, as the financial advisor, I know that you may need an emergency fund 3 to 6 months times your net income or your gross income, depending on how you want to save it. But it depends also on the income that you have coming in. So, with that said, I want you thinking about I need an emergency fund as a hero. Then we look at the financial tasks or essential actions for stability. So when we talk about this, and we're always talking about retirement, right? Most people make $1 million in their lifetime, but they won't save half, right? So one of the descriptions that I would give you is these nurses, they are enrolling in and consistently contributing to their retirement plans, like a 401k, a TSP, or IRA, seeking employer matches, and understanding their vesting schedules is vital. So, see, once you start these jobs straight out of college or straight out of community college or the military, wherever you went, you need to understand what your opportunities are. And don't expect that your HR people are going to be able to give you the right information. Remember, they're employees like you. They're not licensed. Example here. Let's say we have a nurse that maxes out her 403B contribution, benefiting from her hospital match, ensuring long-term financial security. Now, why wouldn't someone want to get the money from the hospital? I remember working at MetLife, and I remember when I worked in with nonprofits, hospitals being one of them. A lot of people didn't know that they received the match. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. But in these cases, they might match up to 3% of what you put in. And so it's important that you understand your benefits. Now, that doesn't take anything away from these professionals. They just may not know. So let's take our police officer over here, which I've had the privilege of being able to do that in my career as well. And we need to look at the financial tasks, the essential actions for stability. We need to look at debt management. See, a lot of police officers like to buy a lot of stuff because, hey, as one told me one time, I don't know if I'll live to see another day. I'm going to enjoy what I got. So when we talk about debt, we're prioritizing and paying off high interest debts like credit cards or payday loans while managing student loans through consolidation or income driven repayment plans, meaning you're a public service. You pay in for 10 years and then they eradicate your loan if you're in law enforcement. You're in law enforcement, you're a teacher, you're military. Now, in this example, our police officer here consolidates her student loans, eliminates her credit card debt, freeing up cash flow for family vacations and future investments. She works really hard and she's decided to take some wise decisions when it comes to her money. Good on you. Now, we talk about financial habits, building consistent wealth practices. Now, these EMTs here, they're busy 24/7 just like law enforcement and firefighters and military, as well as nurses and doctors and dispatchers. But what we're talking about is having a regular savings contribution. So in this description, they're setting up their automatic savings deposits, such as a portion of every paycheck goes to a high yield savings account or an investment account. So what that means is they set it up and then they have so much go to that particular account without them having to put it there themselves. Now, in this example, an EMT builds an emergency fund over 2 years. This wasn't fast, this was something consistent, slow and consistent, enabling stress free handling of a sudden medical expense. Now, I don't know how many of y'all ever got hurt on the job. You might have workman's comp, you might have disability, but sometimes, let's say your injury is longer than your actual benefit, or your benefit is not enough, it's not more than what you usually make, and they don't count overtime. So I want you to think about you want to have an emergency fund set aside that if something were to happen, whether you're on FMLA because of a new baby or you're taking it because you have a issue in your family, you need to have money set aside, people. This is really important, really important. Now, financial habits, building consistent wealth practices. You see, as a veteran, because I did do my 8 years in the Marine Corps and got out, you need to look at review your financial goals and on an annual basis. And what do we mean by that? Here's the description. You're evaluating and adjusting your financial goals based on the changes in your income, your family's needs, and your career stages. Now, this particular veteran, this is an Army specialist, an E4. We're saying that that veteran reviews the financial goals post-military service. Let's say he came off active duty. Now he's going out in the civilian world. And he adjusts his investment strategies to align with his new civilian salary. Now, I want you to understand something. He had a plan. The question is, do you have a plan? Now, We then go into our financial habits as far as building consistent wealth practices. And in this example, I'm using some doctors here. We practice mindful spending. See, tracking spending to identify unnecessary expenses or expenditures and avoid impulse purchases is key. The example here is a doctor reduces his dining out expense by 20%. Yeah, he's a baller, he's making money, but he decides he's going to reduce his spending when he goes out. Maybe he's going to bring his lunch to work, redirecting that savings toward his student loan repayment so he can get out of debt faster. Remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. But you need to pay yourself first, and then you need to pay your debts off. Now, financial efforts, proactive steps for growth and protection. Now, here we have some dispatchers. They're taking calls. They understand that they need to get better educated in skills. So, what they may be doing is they may be pursuing additional certifications, degrees, or skills to increase their earning potential or qualify for higher paying roles. Now, in this example, the dispatcher earns a management certification, securing a promotion and a 20% bump in salary or increase. So, yeah, they're working, but they're also working on themselves and work. And the best investment is working on yourself. I don't care who you are. Financial efforts, proactive steps for growth and protection. What we're doing is we're building passive income streams. You see this veteran, she's home with her baby and her husband. What we're doing is and I've done this as a veteran, and I know a bunch of veterans that have done this, exploring rental properties, dividends, side businesses to create supplemental income sources. You see, as an investor or as a investor who happens to be a veteran, you invest in duplex. I just sold a duplex in November using rental income to offset mortgage costs while building equity. And let me tell you something. I owned it for 4 years, and I can tell you I'm gonna be doing a class on this. Made $250,000 over a 4 year period. Awesome. This is what I'm talking about, learning how to use the system. Now, financial efforts, proactive steps for growth and protection. We talk about estate and legacy planning. You have these three firefighters, they're going into danger every day. In most cases, like most of you, they're going in with the idea that, hey, I need to have created a will, trust, a healthcare proxy to ensure that their families and assets are protected in case of emergency. See, as a firefighter establishes a trust to ensure their children's college and expenses are covered without legal delays. They understand one thing: you're only here for a moment, and life is not promised. Think about that for a second. And in summary, by mastering these habits and efforts and tasks, everyday heroes like you and me can take control of their financial futures, reduce stress, and focus on their vital roles in serving their communities. Look, this is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Please like and subscribe my channel. I thank you for this time, and I ask that God bless you and your families. Until we talk again, God bless.